right into it. So we're going to start checking out what's going on with Latasha Daniels. Latasha Daniels is accused of deleting a pastor. This trial is absolutely insane. It's moving along a lot quickly, and we're going to get into opening statements here from the state. But shortly, I want to give you guys a little bit of background, what's going on with Latasha Daniels and why is she here in the first place? Check this out.
Now, new at 6, a murder trial begins for a woman accused of killing a Memphis pastor.
Latasha Daniels is charged with the shooting that killed Brodus Perry and wounded his wife. Good evening, and thank you for joining us. I'm Stephanie Skurlock.
And I'm Greg Hirsch. Today, jurors heard from Perry's wife. WRG's Raven Copeland has more on today's testimony.
Tuesday, a jury heard opening statements in the first-degree murder trial of Latasha Daniels. She's accused of fatally shooting Brodus Perry, a Memphis pastor, at his Collierville apartment in 2019. The prosecution says Daniels committed the crime because she was having an affair with Perry, while the defense argues that she acted out of emotion.
They left Little Rock and moved here. That resulted in the relationship between the defendant and Mr. Perry became strained.
She did not know in that moment. She broke. And she did shoot Brodus Perry. While screaming, "He broke my heart."
Oh, dang. Okay, so it sounds like they're not denying that she did this. Is their defense a crime of passion? So this is not one where she's innocent until proven guilty. Her defense is saying she was upset. Okay, yikes.
The jury also heard testimony from Tabitha Archie, who was married to Perry at the time of the deadly shooting. She testified that Daniels unexpectedly showed up at their apartment, but she let her in because she knew her. On the stand, Archie said that when Perry arrived, the three drank and talked for a few hours before Daniels got up to leave. It was then when investigators say she shot Perry multiple times.
We're on the second floor, and I'm like, right at the steps when I turn back, and I'm like, okay, no one's behind me. And then I see her pull out her gun and start shooting.
Archie testified that she ran to a neighbor's home for help, and when she returned to her apartment, Daniels shot her in the shoulder. Trial resumes Wednesday morning at 9:30. Reporting for your news leader, Raven Copeland, WREG News Channel 3.
Okay, so that's the story there. We've got a little bit more of a dramatic and detailed intro here from Court TV, and then we're going to get right into the opening statements from the state. Here we go.
Not only have we experienced the death of Brodus Perry to violence.
On April 4th, 2019, police respond to a shooting about 30 minutes east of Memphis. Once they arrived, they found Pastor Brodus Perry with several gunshot wounds and his wife Tabitha shot in the left shoulder.
The rumors swelling around his murder leave us shocked and shaken.
According to the police affidavit, Tabitha let former acquaintance Latasha Daniels into the apartment. Once Perry arrived home, he and Daniels spoke for several minutes. As she was leaving, she pulled out a handgun and began shooting, hitting Perry 5 times and telling him, quote, "You broke my heart." Police arrived as Daniels was reloading her gun. Police shot Daniels and she was taken to the hospital for her injuries, where she attempted to get away from police. She faces charges of first-degree murder, attempted first-degree murder, resisting arrest, and assaulting a police officer. She has pleaded not guilty. As far as a motive, reports say that Tabitha, the wife, told police she was unaware of an affair between her husband and the suspect, but she believed Daniels' actions suggested it's a possibility.
Okay, well, not looking great for Latasha, but hey, innocent until proven guilty. Let's go ahead and get into opening statements from the state. This is going to be one of the shortest opening statements from the state I've ever seen. In Tennessee, I'm going to tell y'all right now, they do not play. We've reviewed and we've seen the trial in Tennessee, and they get them in and out of here. They don't play around. Here's what the state had to say about Latasha Daniels.
Brodus Perry was a pastor of a church. He was a husband. And he was a man who enjoyed life. He was 36 years old at the time of his death. He wasn't perfect. He had flaws, much like a lot of people have flaws.
Fair.
In the fall of 2016, he was one of the pastors at a church in Little Rock. He knew the defendant through his role at that church. She was a member of the church, and I believe she was a leader of a life group in that church. She was going through a divorce or had recently divorced. They talked about that. A sexual relationship between the two of them began sometime around February of 2017.
Oh, uh-oh.
And you'll hear that that relationship went on until sometime the end of 2018 or maybe even going into 2019. Went on for several years. Toward the end of 2018, I believe it was around October, Mr. Perry and his wife took a job. Well, Mr. Perry took a job. He and his wife moved to Collierville in Shelby County because he took a job at Mississippi Boulevard Church here, also working as, I think, an executive pastor at that church. So not the senior pastor or the preaching pastor, but he was working with that church here in Shelby County. So they left Little Rock and moved here. That resulted in the relationship between the defendant and Mr. Perry became strained. He decided he didn't want to be in that relationship anymore. They lived away from each other. I don't know the reasons that he decided that, but he did.
Wow.
When they moved back here. On April the 4th of 2019, the defendant left Little Rock. She stopped at a gun store in Sherwood, Arkansas, where she purchased a Ruger 9mm handgun, and she purchased ammunition. And she drove the 2.5 or 3 hours from there to Collierville, Tennessee,
Dang.
where she showed up somewhere 9, 10 o'clock that night at Mr. and Miss Perry's residence. Mr. Perry wasn't there, but Miss Perry let her in. And they sat and talked for a while until Mr. Perry came in. Miss Perry knew the defendant from when they were in the church together in Little Rock. In fact, the two of them played tennis once a week. Miss Perry considered herself to be friends with the defendant. And so when she showed up at the door, she let her in and they talked. The defendant waited there until Brodus Perry got home. They talked for a few minutes more, and she said, "Well, I'm going to leave. Don't want to bother y'all anymore." Mr. and Miss Perry were about to walk her out the door when the defendant pulled the 9mm handgun that she had purchased 3 or 4 hours earlier.
Dang.
And she shot Mr. Perry multiple times. The medical examiner will testify they pulled 5 bullets out of his body. She also shot Tabitha Perry as she was kneeling beside her husband, trying to get him to quit, trying to help him, and trying to get the defendant to quit shooting.
Wow.
She was still on the scene with the gun when the police department arrived. You'll hear that the bullets that the medical examiner recovered from Mr. Perry's body matched the Ruger 9mm that she purchased from the gun store in Sherwood, Arkansas.
Well, and his wife
CBI,
was there.
the Tennessee Bureau of Investigations analyzed those, and those matched. You'll hear that the shell casings, 7, I believe, recovered from the apartment, were fired from the Ruger that she purchased from the gun store in Sherwood, Arkansas. There was a bullet recovered from the scene at the apartment. That also was fired from the gun that she bought from the sporting goods store in Sherwood, Arkansas. You'll see video from the sporting goods store in Sherwood, Arkansas that shows the defendant going into the store, purchasing the ammunition and the gun, and leaving. You'll see the credit card that she purchased it with and the receipts where the last four of the credit card match, showing the date and the time that she purchased that handgun.
I don't know.
She had all kind of time to think about what she was doing. At the end of the proof, we're going to ask you to find her guilty as indicted in counts 1, 2, and 3 of the indictment. Thank you.
Y'all, that is it. That is all the state had for opening statements. They said, hey, listen, y'all. She shot him. We have the bullets. The wife was there. We got an eyewitness. The wife got hit too. He's dead. Can we wrap this up? I got a tea time Friday at 5. So let me know what y'all think in the comments in the chat. Wow.